Right, I've taken them off. This one actually did try and solder itself to the block, would you believe? But they've got a nice, good soldered joint. And apart from just a bit of clean up with some Scotch-Brite or something, I'm not going to touch that. Having a nice fillet on that solder, it's not going to do any harm at all. This one is just a little bit in the centre of that hole, so I might just clean that up a little bit. But apart from that, that's good as well. And there's a nice flow underneath. So yeah, pleased with them. They should be good. So I'm going to get them cleaned up. Probably do that off camera because I'm only going to be cleaning it up with some Scotch-Brite and maybe a file at the worst. So again, I'll bring you back in a minute. Right, here we go. Nicely cleaned up. All I've done is run in my so here we go. Nicely cleaned up. All I've done is run over with Scotch-Brite. Really, it's just it's all I used. And they come up nice and bright. The only things that I might have to do is, obviously where the rod attaches to this, I might just have to run a milling cutter down onto the surface where they're going to be contacting. Just to make sure I've got enough room, especially on this one. There's a little bit of contamination just there. Okay, but we'll see. Right, so next thing I've got to do is calculate my rod lengths. Easier task said than done. I've got a rough idea of the measurement of the check strap, so I'm going to put a slot in this end so the stop adjuster you can slide up and down and adjust that for fine tuning, although I'm giving myself plenty of movement. Roughly that's about 10 inches, about 25 mil, or 25 centimetres, 250 mil. Obviously I can go shorter. The shorter the strap, the nearer the hinge you have to go. So that effectively increases the load on the check strap as well, because you've got less leverage closer to the hinge, or you've got more the door's got more leverage on the check strap the closer to the hinge. So I've gone, I think, about 10 centimetres into the carcass, give or take. 10, yeah, 10 maybe, yeah, just a 10 and a half, or sorry, 10, about 10, 13, give or take, yeah, probably about 13, give or take. Anyway, either either. So this is the length that I've worked out. One thing you've got to make sure of is when you assemble this onto the door carcass, is the hinge point and the strap location are lined up with one another. You don't want them off centre, because then the hinge strap is going to be causing you problems when you shut the door. So that's what you've got to make sure you do. Apart from that, it should be straightforward enough. So what I'm going to do now is just get bolt croppers, chop this off, use that length to make up another one because I need two, and we will I think I'll put the slot in it first. If you can see that, the light's on it, but put the slot in it first, then I will drill the hole, and then I will put it on the rotary table and do the curve. I mean, I could just do it with the angle grinder, to be honest with you, but, or the grinding wheel, but let's do the stupid thing and actually put this on the rotary table and mill it. It's awkward trying to do it on front camera, I tell you. Right, so I've got my two lengths. That was slightly awkward with the bolt croppers. Things I do for you lot, eh? Right, got a bit of spare as well. I'll hang that back up. Let's cut that slot, shall we? So, in the mill, and first of all I'm just going to take off the edge make that nice and straight. Then I'm going to change the M mill to 4mm and put the slot in. So let's do this then. Right, that can come out now. So a little bit of cleaning up and I'll be good to go. Right, so I'm gonna, let me just move you back a bit actually, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna square up the edges on these, and then I will, got a 10mm mill, so I can work out then how far I want to go back to drill a hole. Bit of an unusual angle on this one for the camera. I thought I'd try and give you a shot from the back looking forward. So you can probably see me possibly in the foreground, sorry, foreground, background, moving things. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, either, different angle from normal. I'm not going to take it out. What I'm going to do is just put a pair of mile grips on it. It is always a danger when you're gripping more than one part. You'll get hold of one of them a bit more than the other. Right, okay, so got it end on the face, so I know exactly how far my part is in. So I've drilled my hole. Now it's going to be setting up the rotary table and facing that end. It's going to be a lot of a faff just for that, but there you go. Said I'm going to do it, so I'll do it. Right, I've got my Criterion rotary table on here. There's a video on this one, and I'll put it on the link up here, wherever, where are we? Up here. Anyway, right, got this on. I've got a spare centre thread part screwed in. Now I've got to bear in mind that this may unscrew. I don't think it's going to unscrew doing what I'm going to do here, but it's got a little bit of a nipple in it in the middle, which I'm just going to machine off. So I'm just going to use this to level it off. I've centered it up as best I can. I think I'm within about 0.001 of a mil, 0.0. Anyway, just slightly out, not enough to make any difference to what I'm doing. And 0.01. So I'm out by 0.01. It's about as close as I can get it. It might be a combination of the rotary table not being absolutely spot on, or the plate at the top spot on, but either 0.1 of a mil is not going to make any difference to what I'm doing here. So first thing is then get rid of this little nipple on here, and then I'm going to drill it and tap it M4. Then I'm going to clamp down the 2 bars, and then round the edge end off, hopefully, with any luck. Right, okay, so right, didn't press record, so you missed me drilling that. Whoopie do, I know, fair enough. And I've just run the tap in. It's a starter tap. In the brass I've been using the middle tap, but I've just started it, and I'm going to run it in by hand, which I'm not going to record because you don't really want to see me twiddling that. You probably don't want to watch me twiddling anything, but there you go. In the lathe, and I've got a kitchen cabinet carcass joining screw. Now I don't know about the rest of the world, but here in the UK the kitchen carcasses come in separate compartments, so each cupboard in the kitchen is separate from the one next to it, and you join the two together with screws like these, and they go through a 5mm hole, and you push that in, and this screw then pulls the 2 carcasses together dead in line. That's the idea, because it's 5mm hole, there's designated places for them. Anyway, the end of my brass rod, I can't honestly remember whether I filmed it or not, but I know I filmed a 4mm hole going through this, and I realised that I wanted the bar not to hinge on the M4 thread, but hinge on something a bit better. So what I've decided to use is the M4 screws in the 5mm carcass bits. So I'm going to cut one of these off just the right length, and it will pivot in there without binding up the rod, and of course it won't wear the rod away because it's not then hinging on a thread. But to hold this in or hold this tight while I'm doing the radius on the end, I obviously need a bit more of this. So I've got loads of these carcass screws kicking about, so I'm going to cut one that's just a little bit longer and use that, and then I'm going to cut off part off 2 at about 2.2mm each, so they're just longer than this, and that way when I put the screw through here it won't pinch this tight, but it will have a nice firm centre to run on. Does that make sense? I'm not entirely sure. If not, I'll do a voiceover. So, because the screw's like yay, I need to get rid of the head, and there's obviously a knurled section on here that's meant to grip into one of the carcasses. So theoretically you only need one screwdriver to do it up, even though they do provide a screw head on it anyway. Invariably sometimes they do turn, but obviously I don't need that knurled bit. I don't want the head. All I want is the main stock to cut my lengths of threaded tube effectively. So take the head off, just below the knurling. I might even actually just take the knurling out and just take the head off, because I need plenty to hold in the vise in the chuck. Let's put that in low speed first of all. That's been run out for a little while. I've already got a parting blade in here from last time I was using this lathe.